Merci beaucoup tout le monde. Ce soir, j'ai reçu un appel de l'un de mes meilleurs amis, Brian Mulroney, pour m'informer que son père, un grand homme d'État pour tous les Canadiens, est mort. C'est un père de famille, un père de Nicolas, Caroline, Ben et Marc, et le mari de sa meilleure amie dans la vie, Mila. C'est un homme qui a commencé sa vie avec des origines modestes. Un père électricien à Baie-Comeau, dans une communauté de la classe ouvrière, mais qui a travaillé fort, qui a eu une très bonne éducation et qui a pu réussir en affaires comme étant le président de l'entreprise Iron Ore Company, une entreprise minière. Il était un homme d'affaires exceptionnel, même avant l'âge de 40 ans. Il est ensuite allé en politique pour gagner la plus grande majorité dans l'histoire du pays, avec une réélection à peu près 4 ans plus tard. Mais ce n'était pas ces élections qui ont marqué sa carrière politique, c'était l'héritage et les changements qu'il a réussi à mettre en place. Il a, par exemple, libéré le libre-échange, rétabli la discipline budgétaire, entré dans l'entente de libre-échange avec les Américains, une entente qui est l'une des plus grandes et plus importantes dans l'histoire du monde, qui reste largement en place aujourd'hui. Sur la scène internationale, il était fortement sur le côté de la liberté contre le communisme dans le guerre froide. Et il était l'un des premiers et le plus convaincu dans l'effort de défaire l'apartheid. Nelson Mandela a remercié Brian Mulroney pour son rôle dans la libération de son peuple dans l'Afrique du Sud. Moi, j'ai eu l'occasion de le connaître personnellement et Anna, ma femme, et moi avons eu l'honneur de l'inviter souper avec nous il y a quelques ans. J'ai été très, très chanceux et reconnaissant d'avoir son mentorat, son conseil et son amitié. On va tous se souvenir de lui et on va tous penser à son beau, gros sourire irlandais et sa voix profonde et riche. Reposez en paix, Brian, et merci au nom de tous les Canadiens. Tonight, I received a call from my very good friend, Brian Mulroney, who informed me of the terrible loss of his legendary father, a husband, a father, a brilliant businessman, a prime minister, a statesman. Our hearts go out today to Mark, Nicholas, Ben, Caroline, his 4 proud children, and of course his best friend, the love of his life, and his wife, Mila. But all Canadians grieve with them because they remember his incredible story. He was the son of an electrician who, despite those modest beginnings in a working-class community in Baie-Comeau, Quebec, rose to extraordinary heights in business. Before he even turned 40, he was the head of the Iron Ore Company, one of the greatest mining companies of all time. He then jumped into politics and won the biggest majority in Canadian history, later winning re-election. But it wasn't electoral success that defined his political career, it was what he did with it. As Prime Minister, he unleashed free enterprise. He crushed inflation. He signed one of the most important free trade agreements in the history of the world with the United States of America that remains largely in place today. And on the world stage, he stood firmly on the side of freedom and against communism in the Cold War. He was also one of the first and probably the most strident opponent of apartheid in South Africa. In fact, Nelson Mandela singled out Brian Mulroney, and by extension all Canadians, for his essential role in applying crippling sanctions against the apartheid regime that would help bring that racist system to an end. On a personal level, Anna and I deeply appreciate our friendship with Brian and Mila, having hosted them for dinner soon after I became leader to seek the advice of both of them in our new roles. And I know that all Canadians join with me in saying that we will miss that deep, beautiful, rich voice and that big, friendly, Irish smile. I think we can all agree that Irish eyes are smiling in heaven tonight. Thank you.
Now, you want to occupy the seat he once did. What would you say is the largest way he's influenced you?
I would say that the lesson I take from Brian Mulroney is to always remember humble beginnings. He started as the son of an electrician in a working class Baie-Comeau neighborhood. He worked like crazy to get himself a good education and pay his way through law school. But no matter how high he rose in politics, he remembered those humble beginnings. He remembered the struggle of his parents to put food on the table. And in everything he did as Prime Minister, he thought of the very same young kid who was born in those same circumstances and wanted to give that kid the same chance he had. And it reminds me that this is a country where it doesn't matter where you come from. It matters where you're going. It doesn't matter who you know. It matters what you can do. And that's the country we want for all of us.
When he was coming up in politics, the Prime Minister was named Trudeau. Today, you were trying to bring the Conservative Party up into a place where maybe he would have. Can you say what piece of advice he's given you directly that stuck out there?
Give people hope. I mean, at that time, people were suffering. In the early 80s, people were losing their homes and struggling to pay their bills with brutal inflation. But along came this hopeful, hardworking, and brilliant leader who said, we can turn this around. And he did. And as a result, millions of Canadians had the opportunity to work hard and own a home and live the Canadian dream. The advice he gave to me is give people that same hope as people go through similarly hard times today. The last time I spoke to Brian Mulroney was about 6 weeks ago. I had heard that his health had taken a turn for the worse, and I wanted to make sure to give him a call because he was in his 80s, and even then we didn't know exactly how long he had. So I called him up to get some of his advice, and his analysis of the political landscape. He was still following everything, knew everything that was happening both here at home and around the world. He had an incredibly encyclopedic mind. He could tell you what was happening in Swiss politics or in Taiwan on a given day. he had he loved to have conversation. He was a brilliant conversationalist and a wonderful storyteller. And I remember he said, actually did give me some other advice I'd forgotten about. It was the most important advice he gave. He said, Pierre, you have a brilliant wife like I do. And he said of Mila, he said, she is your best friend, she will be your best advisor, and she will be the key to your personal and political success. He was a great admirer of my wife, and he told me that he saw a lot of his family in the family that we're building now. That was very touching to us, and we'll always remember those cherished times we shared. Thank you very much, everyone.